what does the committee want to learn from Mulvaney?
Well, look, Mick Mulvaney is one of those people who has spent time in the White House. He was the former acting chief of staff prior to Mark Meadows. He stayed close with Trump world after he left that role, but by and large, after the insurrection, he was critical of the former president. So, of course, they're going to want to ask him about the machinations of Trump world and conversations that he may have been a part of, even just in the outside circle around the former president in the weeks prior to the 6th. But I think the larger thing here, too, Lindsay, is the fact that this is supposed to be a pause period from a public perspective for the January 6th committee. What we're seeing now, though, is that those words that Congresswoman Liz Cheney left us with at the end of the last hearing, when she said that subpoenas are going out, the dam is breaking of people wanting to come forward and talk with the committee, that actually seems like it could be true, especially as we see more reports, including ours today, that Mick Mulvaney, a former senior member of the president's orbit, is coming forward and doing a deposition with the committee today. It all speaks to the fact that even as things are publicly quiet, which is to say no hearings for the next few weeks, the committee is still very actively gathering information, and it's why they're leaving the door open to several sets of hearings come September. Our reporting is that we could see at least two. One of those is likely to be the final report that the committee is going to issue. But the thing is, it behooves them to leave the door open and to stay a little bit flexible here, not least of all because once they issue their final report, they've got 30 days then to wind down the committee's actions, but then also because they are still actively getting information in real time. We watched them putting that information into hearings that had already been planned as they got it. For example, that big Pat Cipollone video deposition that they then incorporated into all these other hearings. And I'm sure that now, as we see more people coming forward, they're going to be incorporating that as well when they come back in September, or as they've been doing over the course of the last few weeks on Twitter, teasing out pieces of depositions that we haven't seen before, but that tell a story that we still need to hear.
The former chair of the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, and a former presidential candidate himself, Howard Dean, and the former chair of the RNC and a former Lieutenant Governor, Michael Steele. You guys know each other, right?
Yeah, we've seen each other around the way.
Okay. This is something good we can do in America, I believe. So I appreciate you guys doing this. We did this before. Michael, I start with the side-by-side we showed, which people may not realize is both unusual and something that has the Republican Party paying attention. Other candidates yesterday getting plenty of live coverage, but not Donald Trump on his first return to Washington, combined with this larger split. What do you see here?
Well, I see Fox and other outlets, Wall Street Journal, trying to do the Heisman at this point to create some distance between Trump and their organs, if you will. And I think, the sort of pivot you hear inside GOP circles towards DeSantis, for example, and certainly sort of an elevation of Vice President Pence means that folks are trying to create a lane that they can run separate and apart from Trump. I don't know how that's going to play itself out. I think when Trump decides that he really wants to throw down and engage, a Washington speech is not engagement. When he's in Mississippi or Missouri or someplace like that, there's a different level, a different vibe. So we'll see how he responds ultimately to this slight. I think from Trump's perspective, it grates on him, but he knows he holds more cards than these organizations do in the end.
Yeah, that makes sense. Howard, I have a question version of that about Biden for you, but I did want to let you respond to this, including the fact that evidence can still get out these days. The reporting shows Fox did cover most of the 6 daytime January 6 hearings, but none of Trump's response yesterday.
Yeah, I don't think the Murdochs have ever been too subtle about what they want to do. And I think it's pretty clear that the polling evidence shows, and I've actually said this, I think the last time I was on the show, and I rarely say things like this because they often come back to bite you, but I hope Trump is the nominee because I think we have a great chance of beating him in 2024. So we'll see. I think now a bunch of Republicans are starting to come up with that. But the problem for the Republicans is that he's still got a huge influence in the Republican primaries. Fortunately for us, he's managed to allow a whole bunch of crackpots around the country to get nominated for important positions that we're now likely to win. I was looking at a projection that now shows that the Democrats will win the Senate fairly easily. So, you know, he's doing damage to his own party now more than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, you lay that out. And I mentioned in the setup how much public opposition there is within even diehard Republicans who may be extreme in other ways, primary voters, to Trump.
Треба було повзком проходити, щоб ти мене побачили, щоб або не снайпер не зняв тебе. Мене звуть Іван Міщенко. Я голова маленького фермерського господарства, яке знаходиться в Київській області, Бучанський район, село Почепин.
Ivan is one of many farmers across Ukraine facing financial ruin because of Russia's war. The cost of the damage to Ukraine's agriculture industry stands at nearly $30 billion.
Кожна кирпичинка, кожен гвоздик забитий своєю рукою. Вкладено сюди дуже багато і сил, серця, душі. Ви розумієте, де був дитячий сміх, де було життя, де була вкладена душа туди, у цей будинок, де ми жили. Да?
In February, Ivan's farm was destroyed by Russian shelling after it was caught in a battle between Ukrainian and Russian troops. Within weeks, decades of hard work was destroyed.
Наскільки тривожно тут було, вже літали і так, і самольоти, і вертольоти, і що тут тільки не літало, і взривалось кругом. І одного дня вже сюди заїхали прямо на подвір'я 3 БТРи, розвернули тут мені сарай, побили скотину.
Ivan and his family decided it was time to leave. They only returned after Russian troops had left the region.
Село Почепин, да? Одне названня всіх наводило ужас, тому що наскільки тут було все заміновано. Навіть воєнні боялися сюди їхати, тому що у нас тут рядышком взорвалися 2 командира, 2 джипи взорвалися. Ну, вже подивились, де ходила скотина, вже ясно, що там можна ходити. Дуже багато. Бой був жорстокий тут. Що зробиш? Працювати треба. Жарко, жарко. Іди сюди, маленька. На. Джерсеєчка моя. У нас було 50 голов верха. Осталося 24 голови. І свиней десь до 100 голів було. І осталося там їх 9 десь.
Hundreds of farmers are in a similar plight across Ukraine, a country often described as one of the world's breadbaskets. Many face bankruptcy. Those who survive are still being confronted with the dangers of war. And for Ivan, leaving Ukraine and this way of life is not an option.
Але ми зберігаємо ідентичність нашої країни, ми зберігаємо культуру, мову нашу, ми зберігаємо спосіб життя нашої. Оце займатися людям, давати хліб, молоко, їжу. Розумієте, це теж, я рахую, що це благородна справа. Ми все-таки сильна нація. Ми повинні зробити це. Ми повинні відбудувати, що в тому будинку, де колись був, знову будуть лунати дитячий спів. І важко дуже говорити.
Let's bring in ABC's Patrick Riebel. He is in Odessa, Ukraine. Patrick, you covered Trevor Reed's case for years, which finally ended with a prisoner swap. Griner's lawyers say this may be possible only after the court reaches a verdict. So how promising do you think this is? Give us a reality check.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, Kira. As you say, I've been covering these cases for years. I mean, way back in 2018 when Paulwhelan was first arrested. And, I think the key question that everyone is asking right now is why is the White House going public with this before a deal has happened? Because usually in these cases, and as in the case with Trevor Reed, we only learn that a deal had happened once the prisoner was already in the air and on the way home and had been freed. And I think really the reason why this is happening is because the US, as we know, has put this deal in front of the Russians weeks ago, and it seems that the Russians aren't biting on it. And so the question, I think what's trying to happen here is that the White House are hoping they can push Russia by going public into maybe agreeing to this, but also trying to show to the American public that they are doing something.
And so can the U.S. really pressure Russia in a prisoner swap like this?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult, actually, for the U.S. to pressure Russia in this case because, firstly, the Russians have 2 Americans and they don't seem to actually care that much about Viktor Bout. Even though they've been pressing for years to try and release him, he's been in prison for a very long time. Whatever value he had to them has certainly really more or less been exhausted. And I think right now he's more of a sort of propaganda win, and that gives the Russians quite a lot of leverage. The second thing is that they know that the White House right now is under quite a lot of pressure over Brittneygriner, and I think they're thinking perhaps we can try and push for more. So I think the Russians might well be asking for another Russian to be released. They want 2 for 2. And I think they will also be trying to get a sweetener in terms of removing sanctions, or at least some sanctions, related to Ukraine. I think that's extremely difficult. I don't think the White House will be going for that. And so I think, really, it's not that we're going to see a release imminently.
So if Russia says no to this proposal, what would that do to the future chances of bringing Brittneygriner and also Paulwhelan back home?
I think it will not. I think a no now doesn't mean that a deal won't happen in the future. I mean, if we look at what happened with Trevor Reed, it happened very quickly and it happened at a very unexpected moment. It happened, just weeks really into Russia's war with Ukraine, when relations are obviously at a pretty catastrophic low with the US, but still they were able to come to a deal, and very rapidly, where they had a 1-for-1 deal where one Russian held in the US was released for Trevor Reed. So I think, even if there's a no now, the negotiations will go on. And what I think is really positive for the families, at least, is that the US clearly has decided that it's prepared to make a major deal. It's prepared to trade Viktor Bout. And so now the next thing to happen is for the Russians to agree to it.
All right, we will see. We'll follow it. Patrick Reevell in Ukraine there for us. Patrick, thank you.